Welcome to Student Connections, where students connect with their community.
Hello, and welcome to Student Connections. On today's program, we will meet two Marysville business owners that serve the community. First, Mrs. Pam Byer from Lifetime Hearing Services. She tells us about her business and why protecting our hearing is so important. Here's Mickey Brass with Mrs. Byer.
Hello, and welcome to Student Connections on M6, your hometown station. Today we have Pamela Byer from Lifetime Hearing to talk to us about hearing loss and ways to prevent it. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what exactly is Lifetime Hearing?
Lifetime Hearing Services is a business that I started 17 years ago, and I've been in the same location for 17 years. And I started it after working for different ear doctors, and I decided to go out on my own. And I do hearing testing, dispense hearing aids, do hearing aid rechecks.
Oh, now where's your business located?
I'm on the corner of Delaware and Gratiot.
Oh, so it's in Marysville?
It's right in Marysville.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And you said you started this on your own?
I did. I started it on my own about 17 years ago.
How did you get interested in the business? Just interested in hearing and stuff like that?
That's a good question because when I graduated from high school, I had no idea what audiology was, and so I went to Western Michigan for speech pathology, and their program was speech pathology and audiology. So I saved all my audiology classes to my senior year because I still wasn't sure what that was about. And once I got into them, I really liked audiology, and at that time you had to have a master's degree to practice. And so at that level, I chose to go into audiology versus speech pathology.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Now, you said you run the business. What exactly is your role? You just give out tests, stuff like that?
So as the business owner, I manage the whole office. I do have somebody who works for me. And what I do in my practice is hearing testing and recommendations based on the hearing test. Often those will be either referring to a medical doctor or an ear, nose, and throat doctor, or be recommending hearing aids for patients. And so if that happens, I fit them, and they're all digital now, so we reprogram them. And so we, by the time the process is over, have quite a relationship with the patient. So, and we do ear protection for people who are exposed to a lot of loud noise, or swim mold for people who cannot get water in their ears, and assistive devices for hearing the TV better, hearing the phone better.
What does a hearing test usually involve?
A hearing test will involve a patient coming into the office. They fill out some paperwork. They fill out a questionnaire regarding their hearing ability, how they see it. And then they come back, and I have a sound room, and I look in the ears, and then I put earphones on them and test each ear individually. First, they listen for beeps, and then that determines if they've lost any volume. And then the second part of the test is to check for word clarity, so words are spoken to them at a comfortable level for them, not always a conversational level, and they repeat the words back, and that determines how well they can decipher the sounds that are going into their ears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who do you normally test? Who do you aim for to test?
I am comfortable testing age 5 and older. If ever a child under 5 is referred to my office, it depends on how much information they're able to give to me. A child, a baby, I would refer down to Children's Hospital for testing.
Okay, when should someone test for hearing loss?
For a child, it would be any time that the child is not responding to their name and you have to get very close to them, or loud noises do not startle them when they're infants. As we get older, usually everybody around you notices that you have hearing loss before you do, and they may come over and tell you your TV's on too loud, or they might notice that you're asking people to repeat a lot. So often people that end up in my office have been directed by family members or friends. And so those are the people. So I think it's never too early to get a baseline hearing test, and just to have that to make sure that everything's good. But once hearing loss is diagnosed, I think once every 2 years is a good time frame for a repeat hearing test.
So when your friends are always like, oh, are you deaf or something? Stuff like that, that's when you go check?
Yes.
All right, I'll remember that.
Okay.
Are there any different types of hearing loss, or is it all just generally the same thing?
That is a very good question. There are 3 types of hearing loss. So one type can be conductive hearing loss, it's called. And that means the hearing nerve is hearing in the normal range, but there is something preventing sound getting down to the hearing nerve, and it's usually either in the ear canal, so it can be a lot of wax, or it can be behind the eardrum, which could be fluid behind the eardrum, a hole in the eardrum, or we have 3 little bones that are behind the eardrum, and sometimes those bones can become fixated. Those kinds of hearing losses can be medically treated, and often when the problem is fixed, the hole is closed, the wax removed, the hearing levels will come back up to normal. And the second hearing loss is called a sensory neural hearing loss, and that means that the hearing nerve has been affected and there's not any medical treatment that can be done. That will come from things like hereditary factors, noise exposure. And then the third type of hearing loss can be a little bit of both. Somebody can have a nerve hearing loss but also have a hole in the eardrum, which is preventing sound from getting down to the nerve, and they can still be medically treated. Their hearing will come back up, but it will not go back to normal. It's the nerve, when the nerve is affected, the hearing's only going to get as good as the nerve will allow.
So those are the symptoms of it too, like just too much wax or just too much fluid, stuff like that?
Sometimes a symptom of wax can feel like your ear is very plugged up, or you take a shower and your ear feels very full. Fluid behind the eardrum often will be associated with a cold, or sometimes people will fly and your ears don't pop just right, and after that you can develop some fluid behind the eardrum. So those are more sudden types of loss, where the other, when it's nerve loss, happens slowly most often.
Now, what are the different types of hearing aids that you have? I understand that you also have a new digital technology one.
Yes, so all hearing aids now are digital. And what that means is that there's a computer chip in the hearing aid that is programmed in the office on a computer for a specific hearing loss. Digital means that the hearing aids sound better than they ever sounded. They do not have feedback or whistle like the old days. Background noise is managed much more efficiently by the hearing aids, but digital has different ranges, and so they go from entry-level digitals up to a Mercedes of digital. So the lifestyle of the patient is what determines what technology they want. The level of technology is what drives the cost of the hearing aids.
How would you say digital technology has changed how it's been treated, like how hearing loss has been treated?
Digital technology has brought patients into the office at a much younger age because the technology sounds better, there's more clarity, there's not feedback, the hearing devices are streamlined. They have an open ear fit, which is very popular now, and what is the plug that is going into the ear is very open, very comfortable. People don't know it's there. Before, when hearing aids were analog, you would maybe adjust the volume on your hearing aid to hear me better, but if there was noise in the room, all the noise would become equal with my voice. Now the hearing aids are designed to make conversation the most prominent part of what you hear and try to keep background noise reduced.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're very efficient now. They keep getting better every year. And Bluetooth technology is more prevalent in hearing devices now, so you can marry your cell phone to your hearing aid and you be
Oh, really?
hands-free and you can hear the people on your cell phone in both ears. And it's just by pressing a button and yeah,
Oh,
so
that's cool.
they've come a long way.
Because I'd
Yeah.
always see like people like tuning in on their
Yes.
little earpieces
Yes.
and like
Yes.
you could see the ringing.
Yes.
Now, are there any precautions that I can take so I don't have hearing loss in the future?
The only control we have over our hearing destiny is noise protection. So if you go to a loud concert, there are some hearing protections that you can just buy in the drugstore, and I use them, you know, because concerts are too loud. If you leave a concert, a wedding reception, and your ears are ringing after, that's not a good sign. You've had too much noise
yeah.
exposure. And so that's the only thing we can control, and it's important to do that. iPods, turn the volume down. If I walk with my iPod, I always adjust it in my house where it's quiet. And if I'm on a noisy road, I keep my hands off the volume so I'm not continually increasing the volume to override the noise.
Yeah, I'll see kids walking down the hallways or something like that, and I can hear their music playing, and they're just walking by me, and I can hear exactly what song it is, and I'm like, that cannot be good.
That is not good. Or if you're in a car and two cars behind you, you hear their music, that's
Oh,
not
yeah,
good.
or where you can feel their bass, and I'm just like, that cannot be possibly good.
Right. And the other thing too is people don't think about it often enough, but even mowing the grass or snow blowing, people should be wearing some ear protection.
Oh, that's why they wear those big earphone
Yep.
things that they got on.
Yeah, if you go through a local car wash and all the guys now have their hearing protection on.
I thought it was just because they were like, just didn't want to listen to it, but now I know it's for protection. All right.
Exactly. Yep.
Now I heard May is Better Hearing and Speech Month. Could you tell us the importance of this?
It's been going on for a long time. It started in 1927, and the American Speech and Hearing Association tried to bring awareness to hearing loss and speech and language problems. And so they've always just designated May as Better Speech and Hearing Month just to bring a little attention to hearing loss and speech problems.
Okay. I can see the definite importance of keeping your hearing healthy. We thank Mrs. Beyer for sharing her information with us today.
Thank you for
again.
having me.
I'm Mickey Brass for Student Connections on M6, your hometown station.
In our next interview, we'll meet Mr. Mark Allen. Mr. Allen's business is right next door to Mrs. Byer's Lifetime Hearing Services, and he is the owner of the Auto Stylers and RV. Mr. Allen explains how he continues to provide excellent service for his customers. We'll learn more about his services through he and his staff offer with Kayla Torres.
Welcome to Student Connections. I'm Kayla Torres. Joining me today is Mr. Mark Allen from Auto Stylers and RV. It's really nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too, Kayla.
How would you describe your business to others?
We've been in business for 21 years. And my business consists of many different services or products. We started off doing truck accessories like truck caps and running boards and bug shields and bed liners. And then it grew into doing RV repair, which really is probably my mainstay. We fix RVs, we fix little travel trailers, we fix even a utility trailer. It has grown from there to put snowplows on. And so we have a nice little mix. There's so many different products that we do that really seem to, fit the area.
located at?
I'm actually at the corner of Delaware and Gratiot, right down the street from the high school.
All right. What are your hours there? Like, what is it typically of?
Typically, our business hours in this economy are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and Saturdays 9 till 12:30.
Who are your typical or regular customers?
You know, there's a wide variety. I mean, within RV, you can have the same customer twice. You can fix up his truck so he can take it camping, or you can be repairing his RV. The person who has a truck that fixes his truck up, you can also put a snowplow on it, or we can put car starters on them. So there's a blend of people. And age-wise, I would think that I do young people, you know, with, you know, fixing their fog lights. And we have, you know, the older crowd that have their RVs, have been RVing for many years and in their retirement age.
Are they from the Blue Water area, or do you draw like from a wider base with your customers?
We've done work as far as Harbor Beach away, and people have come from the city. Primarily, though, I would believe that you get Fort Gratiot, Lexington, Marysville, down to St. Clair is probably my draw. A little bit out west.
Wow,
as well.
that's amazing. Most business owners will talk about trust and relationship with your customers. How do you develop a long-term business with a customer?
The way I have found is to be myself. I try not to be a salesperson. I try to do it more as a education. In other words, they come in, I don't try to sell them a product, I give them the goods and bads of all the products and let them make their own decision. I think that's number one. I think number two, people know that I hear them. I can stand in their shoes, and if there's an issue that needs to be handled, they know I'm going to take care of it.
Now, do your employees that work there, do they treat everyone else like family? Do you have like many employees?
I have one full-time employee. I have a couple of part-time employees. And yeah, I kind of feel like that's the basis of my business. It's more of a mom and pop store. People know they can come in and ask me anything for any kind of help. And my employees, I've had one employee with me for 17 years.
Wow.
So it tells you that it's something more than just a job.
Yeah. What are their jobs there?
The one guy in back that's full-time, he basically does all the installs and the repairs. I have a part-time gal, she helps with talking to customers about the different products. And I do that as well. Talk about the different products, and of course I wear many hats. I have to do the bookkeeping. I have to make sure things are going smooth. I'm the person who puts out the fires when there's a little problem here or there. So yeah.
What made you want to start this business?
You know, I worked for my father, and he had a body shop when I was in my teens, and I used to tell myself every day I'm going to own my own business. And I finally had the opportunity when I turned 34, and we started just doing the truck accessories like I had mentioned earlier. And I was in that location on Lapeer in Port Huron for 5 years and moved to Marysville 16 years ago. And how I kind of got started in it was I wanted to expand my business. I knew that what I was doing wouldn't take me to retirement, and that's where I'm at today.
What's your favorite part of the job?
People. I enjoy people. I care about where they're camping. I enjoy their new trucks. I feel like I'm a people person, and it just shows, and it comes out in all those different aspects.
What is the most challenging parts of running a small business, especially with the economy today?
I think the balance of how to keep the place going, keep your employees happy, keep your customers happy. I think it's quite a balance of trying to do all of that, because I think every part influences the other part. How you take care of your employees helps take care of your customers. How you take care of your customers will keep you busy for your employees. So I think it's a big circle.
Is there ever a typical day in your business?
I don't know what you mean exactly typical. I mean, I get there probably between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. Our doors open at 9. I take time getting my day organized. And, you know, then the phone starts to ring and the customers are walking in and you're off and running, you know? So.
Have you seen any recovery from the poor economy in your type of business?
I have. In 2008 was very catastrophic for myself and many companies, as September 11th was. And but since 2008, my business has grown back to a comfortable level of being able to run my business day in and day out, and know that everybody's going to make a living and do a good job.
How do you decide what product lines to carry?
I have reps that come in on a regular basis, and you know, as things come about and feel like something's good, we will use them and see if we like them as well. I also use my customers' input too. I have products on my shelf that people said, hey, try this. I saw this and I really think it works well. Or my friend had one and I think, you know, it'd be a nice piece to add. So I do that as often as I can.
Do you attend trade shows at all?
I don't so much. My time seems limited. I spend a lot of hours at work, and you know, it's not something I really seem to have enough time for.
In addition to Auto Stylers and RV, do you have other groups working out in your location?
I have a renter that he rents a portion of my building and he does cleanups, and he's done a good job. He cleans cars, and when we have an RV, we have them do that as well, which is nice.
That's good.
It's like a full service at that point.
All right. If someone were interested in starting a small business similar to yours, what advice would you give them, like, to be successful?
Well, I want to say starting a business is much more difficult than anybody could ever imagine, and I think we all always have this pie in the sky dream that it's going to be so easy, you know, and I think having enough financial backing would be a much better deal than working on a shoestring like I did. I think that having finances helps, but also be able to be a people person and know what your customer's looking for, as well as, you know, hear your customer. I find that is probably my strongest asset.
All right. Well, it was very nice to see you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back with more after this.
Carly Bouveret is a senior at Marysville High School. She has danced nearly her entire life, so when Carly decided to create one final video project for the communication arts class, the topic was a natural fit. Carly chronicled 1 week in the life of a dancer, from practice to competition, balancing school, family, and friends. It's not easy. These young people are dedicated. Miss Danielle Miller is the subject of this inside look.
To most people, dance is a form of entertainment or social interaction. But to the dedicated dancer who puts hours of practice, sweat, and determination, it's an art. Watch as we follow around Danielle Miller, a teen dancer from the Dance Company Conservatory. We'll see what a week in her life is like with the dance competition right around the corner.
My name is Danielle Miller and I'm 17 years old and I dance at the Dance Company in Port Huron. When I was 3 years old, my mom put me in dance, and obviously when you're that age, you don't really make decisions. And she tried to put me in everything possible, like all different sports, all different activities, and dance was the only thing that ever really stuck with me. And when I was in elementary school, I started to take more classes, and in 5th grade they asked me to join the competition team, which was a bunch of high schoolers. But my mom said that I could do it, and I started dancing with them when I was younger, and that's when I started really taking it seriously and thinking it was something that I was going to do when I was older. And then in middle school and high school, when everybody started graduating, I got more with kids my age, but I still stayed competing, and it's still something that I love, and I still want to do it for the rest of my life. On Monday, I don't have dance, but I actually work almost every single Monday, and why I work is basically just to pay for dance. I pay for costumes, for shoes, because we all have to match, so we all have to buy the same thing, and it all has to be different every year. We have to buy tights, and we had one of our costumes made this year, so I had to pay for that. And also with the money from work, I pay for dance competitions because that's something extra that I myself choose to do, so my mom makes me pay for that. So I stay working to pay for all the expenses for dance. On Tuesdays, I go to dance at 4:30, and I take a half-hour private class with my teacher, which is basically me just learning a solo that I plan on taking to competitions in the future, and that I'll be doing in our recital. It's just one-on-one time. It's one of the most expensive classes, but you get the most out of a private than you do any other class because it's just you and the teacher. And to help pay for that, after that I stay for over 2 hours to help teach the younger kids. I teach a half-hour ballet class with kids in elementary school, and then after that I teach the same group of girls a tap class with my teacher. I help assist it, and then after that there's a jazz class, and what I'm basically there to do is be an example and have the other girls watch me and learn from me, and I help keep them under control and everything like that because they are younger, so it helps to have another person in the classroom with the teacher to keep things under control and focus. And after that, I teach another bar class and I teach another ballet class with my teacher, and then at the end of the night, I help assist a hip hop class that I'm actually in with one of my other teachers. On Wednesdays, we have our technique class for bar, which is basically all the basics of ballet. There's a lot of different levels in that class, but it's the most important class that I take all week because that's when I do the most strength training and improving on my technique and getting better as a dancer, because bar is literally where you learn everything. And people can disagree with that, but that's definitely what I believe in because I know that's why I've gotten better over the years, is from taking so many bar classes. After bar class, we take a half-hour point technique class, which is again just improving on your technique and getting stronger on your shoes for our ballet class. And then we have an hour break, which is when we go and get food for dinner and we work on our homework because we're there until 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock, so we don't really get a time to eat besides that block of time right there. And I don't get time to do my homework besides that block, so I have to get it all done in that hour. And we take that time pretty seriously because I don't want to be up until 12 o'clock after I get home from dance working on my homework. And after that, we have an hour or a half-hour class for point, which is choreography. There's 4 of us, and it's the advanced point class. And we are doing Carmen, and that's going to compete eventually, but we weren't ready for this weekend. And basically, that's going to be in recital, and we're going to take that to future competitions. And after that, we take a half-hour jazz trio, which is what's going to competition. And we actually did pretty good with that. We had to work a lot of extra time because that was a little bit behind before we actually went to competition. And we really had to work on being together in every single count because that's what they look for most in trios, is that everybody looks exactly the same and is doing the exact same movements, which is so hard when you have 3 totally different dancers all trying to be together and be on the exact same count at the exact same time always throughout the whole thing. And also what was trickier about jazz is that we had a prop and we had to dance on chairs, and it takes a split second for you to fall off. There was times where I was tripping up and I thought that I was really going to be nervous for competition, but it actually went pretty well. On Thursdays, we've been coming in a half an hour early, so I literally leave right from school to go straight to dance because it starts at 3:15. And we work on our contemporary trio for an hour just so that we can get everything together just like jazz. It's got to be perfect and in sync, and With contemporary, you really have to bring an emotion towards it, and our dance this year is very sad and emotional. It's about one of us graduating and leaving, so it's not hard to turn on the emotion, but we really all have to be together in it and tell the same story for contemporary class. And I know that's something that they commented on during the competition, but you can tell even from our pictures that we're so emotional in that moment from everything that the story is supposed to tell. And after that, we have a 45-minute progressions class, which is a lot like bar, but it's more simplified, just stretching and doing leaps across the floor and turns and improv and things that are really going to help you become a better dancer. And maybe not necessarily a strengthening class or a technique class, but more on working on how to actually do the moves that we need to in our dances. And after that, we have a half-hour contemporary class, which again is putting on the emotion and telling the story, but it's a bigger class as opposed to our trio, which is more about all three of us being together. And in the bigger class, we don't compete that one because there's so many different levels of dancers in it, but we do it in recital at the end of the year in May, where we show all the dances that we've been working on all year, and that is one of the ones that's going to be in it. And also there's a jazz and a hip-hop class. And first we have jazz, which is more of an upbeat class, but it's still a lot of technique, and it takes the breath out of you because it's so fast and quick movements, and it's all over the place, which is something that's different than contemporary, because contemporary is normally slow and more of a story, and jazz is more of an upbeat. Like, don't get me wrong, you still tell a story in everything that you do in dance, but it's more of a fierce kind of a thing, if that makes sense. And after that, we have a hip-hop class, which is basically what you would think it is, just hip-hop, and it's to more like rap style music. And the most important thing about that, I would say, is that it's good to be good at everything in dance and not to only focus on one thing. A lot of people only focus on ballet or only focus on hip-hop, and I think it's really important to introduce yourself to all different styles of dance so that you can be well-rounded and be hireable in everything when you get to that point in your dance career. On Friday, we had an extra class, and conveniently we didn't have school, so we actually were in the studio at 10 o'clock in the morning working on our dances, trying to get all our costumes together, like a dress rehearsal, running through it with the costumes and all the hype of it. We tried to get everything cleaned up that we needed to still, because there was still tons of things to fix. It's never perfect, so there's always something to improve on. And we worked for almost 3 hours with that, and with one of our teachers. She stayed extra before she went down to the competition. Later that day, she stayed to work with us, and there was a lot of yelling, a lot of pushing us to our furthest moments. I know at the end didn't even want to walk out to my car. I was so tired, and she really worked us all the way, and it just prepared us for the next day, for Saturday, to make sure we were prepared for competition and ready to go on stage. On Saturday, we actually had the competition, and we headed down to Walled Lake North where they had it, and it was the Rainbow Dance Connection competition. And I personally took 2 trios, but we also had 3 soloists go down as well. And our 2 trios got the top scores in our age division. There wasn't a ton of competition, but there was one other group, and we definitely scored higher than them. And basically how competition scores you is like an A, B, C, or D kind of thing, and like an A would be a double platinum, a B a platinum, and then down from there, and we got double platinums on both our numbers. And after they give you a score, they give you videos of it, and they have judges' comments telling you on everything that you need to fix, and it's really a lot of technique comments and comments on how to tell a story better and where to be more emotional, where you're not together, and that kind of thing. And we take those critiques very seriously, and we apply them as soon as we get them. We try to work harder to fix it for our next competition so we can be better. The reason that I love dance so much is because of the way that it makes me feel. It's a total expression of everything, no matter what I'm doing. If I'm having a bad day, if I'm having a good day, I can just leave everything behind me and go to dance and try to forget about it all or express it all if I need to do that as well through my dancing. It's like some people write when they get upset or if they have a bad day, it's something that I lean to. Like I can find myself in my living room dancing by myself just because I'm having a bad day and I need to get it off my chest, and I feel like I can express it all through that. The way that it makes me feel, I can't even explain, because it's just something that is in the moment. Like when I'm on stage and I'm trying to tell the story, it's like you're in that place, in that moment, at that time that it's happening. Even though you're just on a stage with a bunch of people watching you, in your mind and in your heart, you're actually experiencing and feeling everything that's going on. Like, I know last year I did a solo dedicated to Jake when he passed away, and the emotions that it made me feel while I was on stage were incredible, and it was something that was amazing to me, and I can't even explain it. And for the future, I plan on dancing for the rest of my life as something that I can always go to. If I can't get hired, then I guess that's how it is. I'm going to try to audition. I'm going to try to get scholarships to a dance school if I can and do whatever I want with that, but it's nothing that I'm ever going to be giving up on. Like some people after high school, when they're done with sports, they don't play them anymore because they can't be a professional. But even if I can't be a professional dancer, I'll always keep dance in my life and close to me.
We appreciate all of our guests for joining us today, and we thank you for tuning in to Student Connections. I'm Jim Sturtridge for M6, your hometown station.